In this video, I'm going to outline reasons why you have depression and a step-by-step guide on how to get rid of it. Depression. Depression is the most common word I hear in the mouths of our generation. It's a trend and it's a justification for a lot of things. It really is sad to see people change their identities in a negative way with this self-diagnosed title that they give themselves. That used to be me as well, I'm not going to lie. But nothing changed for me until I started actually thinking and implementing the information I will outline in this video. Some reasons you may have depression is from your past traumas. We all tend to experience something traumatic in the first 10 to 16 years of our lives, and if not, you're lucky. Depending on the severity, it can stick with you, start to change the way you think and react to certain situations. For myself, I lost my father to cancer in 2019, and let me just say, you'll never understand love until you've lost one. However, you need to recognize the rocks and burdens that you have and what role they play in your life. Then, start making a decision on if you're going to let them define who you are moving forward. Because if you don't, they're going to continually be an anchor point for your justifications and shortcomings in your life. For example, the reason you don't want to pet a dog is because you've gotten bit by a dog before. A simple analogy, and it makes sense for why you may not want to pet the dog, but how long are you going to avoid the most common household pet? Take that for whatever it's worth. From the trauma we experience, it can reshape our brains, the way we react to stimuli, and this can cause us to make some questionable decisions down the road, one of which being the people you surround yourself with. Your association plays a big role in your life because, as we all know, you're a variant of who you spend the most time and consume. With that being said, if you intertwine this with your traumas and poor decision making, this could lead you down a very dark path. If you're not being meticulous with who you hang around. Suppose you have a friend that makes you feel inadequate with certain things, or he or she always downplays your accomplishments. This can make you start to question your self-worth and capabilities, and you will inevitably fall into a depressive state, either very quickly or with a slow burn. Simply because no human is supposed to be treated that way. Filter out your circle into one that brings peace into your life, not chaos. Another reason why you may have it is because of the media. News, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all the other things that are stealing your attention nowadays could honestly be the number one reason why you feel pessimistic and lethargic. Because while you consume this content, you're always in a search for something new, and in that process, you're subconsciously telling yourself that what you have/know now is not enough. You may not need this video, you may not need the book you're reading, and you may not even need the medicine you were prescribed. I believe that you have everything you can possibly need in that wonderful mind of yours to put your life into harmonic conjunction. However, since you're distracted and stimulated with all the highlight reels, they make you feel like you're not adequate enough to apply it in your life. The media knows this, and that's why they're always pumping out urgent content. On the other hand, if you were able to get rid of it as a whole, or limit it in your life, then I know things would flow a lot smoother in your life. Another reason may be lack of direction. I've noticed there's such a lack of goals, drive, ambition, work ethic, and mental toughness nowadays, and this ties back to my previous point on the media. I think the reasons this may be is because the content you are consuming on a daily basis is constantly swaying your opinions and beliefs. With that being said, you're always soaking your mind with information, and this leaves you not knowing which way to take. Imagine me asking you if you want to go to the movies, then giving you 30 theaters to choose from, then 20 movies to choose from, then 10 snacks to choose from, then 5 seats to choose from. You're going to feel overwhelmed and you'll probably get stuck. Limit your consumption rate and start taking action on the things you already know, while still being in consideration of other possible paths and ideologies, because arrogance will get you killed before you're buried. Now I'm going to give you some ways to get rid of it. Go back to when you were happy and see what you can replicate. The things that made me happiest when I was a kid was leaving the house and going places with my parents, laughing with my siblings, or going outside and riding my bike through the wind with not a care in the world. When I look back to the times when I was depressed, none of those things were in my life. Honestly, it was the opposite. My life consisted of room isolation, parent relationship regression, porn and weed addiction, no friends, and not a single hobby or activity to free my mind. The one thing that got me out of that state was to really think back and ask, okay, when I was happy, what was happening? Who was I around? What was I eating? What music was I listening to? Etc. Doing this as much as I could made me smile more, and this is something you should consider doing for yourself. Break it down and try to replicate it to the best that you can. I think this is a healthy way of attaching oneself to the past. Although I don't see it as an attachment, I see it as simply going back and picking the right fruit that was left behind. Fix your daily routine. When you wake up in the morning, what are you doing? What's the first thing that pops into your mind, and what's the goal of the day? You have to ask yourself these questions and write them down on paper with answers if possible. If no answer, then at least you thought about it. My question of the day for the past 5 months has been, I'm not where I want to be in my life right now. So what am I going to do today to progress towards that change? Then I list 1, 2, 3. Some days I go without answers to all of them, but at least I thought about it. A lot of people go day by day by day by day without this thought in their heads, and that's why they never move forward. Don't let this be you. I promise, if you implement these things in your mornings, you will start to smile more within just 2 weeks. We all have bad habits in our lives, and the biggest question a lot of us have is, how do I stop doing blank? Or how should I get rid of blank? Suppose you have a porn addiction. The question you should be asking yourself is, okay, what am I supposed to be doing right now instead of watching porn? You may still relapse, and that's fine, but you're getting a grasp on what the better options may be. Let me tell you, there's plenty. I don't even have to get into that. You already know. Replace the habits with something that has the same effect on you, but just on the other end of the spectrum. Start focusing on others. Most of my depression stemmed from overthinking, self-deprecation, feelings of being a social reject, insecurities, and multiple other reasons. But if you break down those thoughts and reverse it into acts of service, you will receive a lot more joy and fulfillment out of life. Say you're having self-deprecating thoughts, then go uplift somebody. Say you're feeling like a social reject, then start making others feel like they belong. What you receive out of this life is in direct proportion to what you put out. So start producing some value and stop being selfish. The last thing I'll say is this. The main cause of depression usually comes from one, not pursuing anything. And if you don't know what to pursue, then stop distracting yourself and do what feels right to do. Love you. Start off tomorrow strong, G. Peace.